Well, hello, everybody. How are we doing? Thanks so much for being in the chat here, telling us where you're from. It's really cool to have everyone virtually together. And
Who are you
I,
talking to? No, just joking.
I know it does feel like I am talking to no one because, in a real sense, that is kind of what's happening. um, I am incredibly honored and excited to be introducing our featured artist for today. I'm going to give you just a little bit of background in case you're not already hip. She was the lead singer and songwriter for Four Non Blondes. She's written songs for Pink, Christina Aguilera, Gwen Stefani, Alicia Keys, and many more, and engineered and produced for even more artists like Natasha Bedingfield and Dolly Parton. She's a musician, an engineer, an entrepreneur, and a mentor to many in the music industry. So please join me in welcoming Linda Perry. Thanks, Linda.
Hi, and I'm a great mommy.
Yes, I love that.
Yep.
I think we'll get to that a little bit later because I know we have a ton of teacher parents in the audience as well with us today. Um, it's so great to have someone with your incredibly varied background of all these different experiences you've had and honestly created for yourself, which I think is like part of the really amazing aspect of that. I'm hoping, one of the things that we work with our teachers on is songwriting, which you have a lot of expertise in. I'm wondering if you can talk, even just in general terms, a little bit about your songwriting process and maybe how you get past certain barriers or fears you have while going through that process.
Well, for me, I never quite 100%, still honestly don't understand the songwriting process. I only know like how to just close my eyes and get in touch with my emotion. That's the only thing I know how to do properly. And for me, it's not a calculated move. It's not, you know, it's not listening to this and listening to that and making my move. It's about feeling out how I'm doing. And especially, when you have somebody who wants you to write a song for them, it's very difficult because you really have to just still operate from yourself. And there's a lot of writers that, have formats of like putting tempos together, cutting and pasting. There's so many ways people write music. I only know how to write it from scratch. If it's picking up guitar, going to the piano, and waiting for that moment to happen. And I don't get songwriter's block because I'm not thinking about this. I'm doing it. So when people run around with songwriter block, I always tell them, well, then just stop thinking about writing a song and just write the song. But in order to do that, you have to be very free. You have to be in a very vulnerable state. Who knows what's going to come out of your mouth? Me, I ad lib everything. It's almost half gibberish and half amazing. And then I figure out the gibberish later as I continue to loop the song over and over until it's like, there it is. Like everything comes together for me, the melody, the music, the lyric. And so that's my process. It's really very simple. When it's time for me to write a song, I simply write it. When it's not time, I walk away.
And so, do you sometimes, because of that, have to give yourself space to be like, oh man, I had maybe time set aside for this today, but it's just not happening?
No, I don't really set time aside to write. Like, I don't know how it works. I guess a lot of people find my process very interesting because it's so raw. But, when it comes to teaching, like one of the things I think it's really incredible to be able to teach your students is the gift of ad lib, because Like I did this one thing one time, and I'm glad I brought my guitar. I just, well, brought it. It was here. It's just in the background. But one time I had these kids, and I said, I just randomly put some chords in a box, and I had them just pick out the chords. So they just picked out random. It's like, oh, A, C, D, whatever. And then I was like, okay, those are the chords you have. Now write a song. And they'd be, and I'm going, you have 15 minutes. And so it was so interesting because the overthinkers were just like, they had to like slip into this mode because it was a homework assignment, and they were freaked out that they wrote a song in 15 minutes. They're like, I've never done that before. But I think it's all about ad-libbing, because what I say, A, B, and D. So you can choose to like go, right? And then D, or you can go, well, A, C, D. Well, do we have to be in that order? And then I never knew why I felt this way before. Now I don't see. I gotta be vulnerable right now, and I can't feel myself anymore. Now I know what I'm doing, but I could be something I could ever see. Whatever, right? So I'm just going into this state now because I've made the mistakes. I fucked up. I don't even know what I'm saying. But what happens is that the stream of thought just goes away, and now you're just almost in fear of surviving just to be able to say some words. And then the words end up being these magical gems that the greatest songwriters in a room couldn't figure out to come up with, because it's coming up from strictly your heart. And the truest moment of songwriting, I know this is a very, very long answer, but the truest form comes right here. It's coming from here. It's not coming from here. So if we can teach our kids, if we can teach the kids to be emotionally more open, then you'll start realizing that that's when the teacher becomes the therapist. That's when the teacher becomes the true mentor. The teacher becomes the teacher, the professor that is helping these kids with emotional problems, because all these things start surfacing from ad-libbing. That's where the song comes from. It's coming from this emotional thing where now this kid, Emil, had no idea that, when he was younger and he got beat up by these guys, kids in school, how that really affected him. And he had no way to release it. But now he's put in the situation and he's frightened, because when we're in ad lib, survival mode kicks in. We start searching. It's like a bank. We start searching for information. There's something coming up. I need something to say. I really hated being bullied because it really affected me and it made me sad. And I don't want that to ever happen to me ever again. And I'm going to teach my children and everybody, that I meet, never to let that happen to them or whatever. So all this stuff starts coming. That's where the songs come from. I'm sorry for that. I get very passionate. I'm an Aries fire sign.
You don't need to apologize at all, because I think that is what we all need to hear right now. Again, it's like what you're saying, and about the school setting is all about thinking processes, trying to lay things out in a sequential way, and sometimes it's hard for teachers, I think, to have the space to feel like, man, taking time to let my students explore their emotions is the right thing to do, even if it means I don't get to teach the new chord I was going to teach today or whatever. You're teaching the heart of songwriting. So I think that's really super powerful.
Well, when I was I think I was maybe 11 or 12, I went to the school called Mission Bay, and I was raised in San Diego, and I just wanted to go to music school. For as long as I was born, I always wore a hat, and I loved playing music. but we couldn't afford anything. Couldn't afford a hat and couldn't afford a guitar or anything. So I'd go to school and I'd see this guy, very cool guy, like long hair. He was like, everybody loved him. The chicks loved him, you know, and I followed him one day and he went into this music class and I was like, I wonder if I can go in there. So I joined. I asked my teacher or my principal, can I join this class? It's like, yeah. So I go in there. I have no guitar, but and oh yeah, I'm getting one. I'm getting one, and I never could get one. And so the teacher, so that guy, I can't remember his name, he let me borrow his guitar in order to stay in the class because the teacher said, you know, Linda, you're going to have a guitar to be in here. It's a guitar class, you know? And I'm like, okay. And then the guy overheard that and he's like, hey, listen, when I'll take breaks and you can use it, is that okay, teacher? If like she can use my guitar. So that turned into the teacher now giving you lessons. Like you're now supposed to read music. I don't know how to read music. And so I would just like, they would give you a song that you're supposed to read the music and learn. So you would get an opportunity to hear the song. I would just pick it up super fast. Like you get one opportunity to hear the song and I would just start figuring out. My memory was so good. I could hear it. I could just hear it in my head and I would figure out the song. And by the end of the class, you're supposed to play the song. So, you know, and then I'd play the song wrong, but it was still the song. And the teacher was like, how are you doing that? And he's like, do you know how to read music? And I said, no. And then he said, do you want to learn? And I said, I don't think so. And then he knew I was talented. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you stay in this class. I have an extra guitar. You can go in that room. You can stay in there all day. The only thing you have to do though is come out at the end of the day and do the assignment. And that's how I learned how to play guitar really was in a private room in a music class because the teacher saw that there was no way I was going to be able to take in the information. My brain doesn't work that way. I fail school and I can't absorb the information. So he knew right away that I was going to be one of those people that were just self-taught and he just was going to support that. That was the best thing that any of my teachers ever did for me is seeing me. So when you're saying, you know, the kids need to know about the education, you know, it's like the school needs to know about the kids more so. The teacher needs to know what they have in front of them because you can't force every kid to absorb the information exactly the same.
Yeah. Incredible. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. So with that experience in mind, and you've also, you know, worked with a lot of young musicians and young songwriters, collaborated with them. Are there any sort of like patterns of difficulty that you see with young songwriters or musicians that our teachers can help students avoid, like mental or musical traps that they fall into?
Well, the kids that, you know, I've worked with that, you know, it's like, oh, I've been to school. I did this, I do that. What I see is them not really coming from an emotional place. I see them needing their music. They need to see it written. I see a lot of pianists playing like that. It feels very like they're playing the piece. They're playing the piece written, but they're not playing the piece from their point of view. That to me is very, like, I don't think those kind of kids are going to make it if they want to go into the music business. They're not going to stand out. They're going to stand out as just copycats or an artist that just doesn't have their own influence. They're influenced by everything else but themselves. Singers that come in very well trained, you know, singing up here because that's where their teachers tell them this is your safe place to sing, you know, and just keep everything right up here because you don't want to go out there and look how it's changing my beautiful, dark, rich voice. And it's making it sound like I'm in my nose tunnel. And then they come in here and I've been waiting all my life, you know, woo! And then I'm just like going, whoa, you know, get out of your survival. Your teacher taught you to protect, you know, that needs to go away. That is for singers who are singing every day, that are on the road, people like Barbara Streisand and Celine Dion. That's not for you. Because what happens there is the teacher is automatically taking the character away from this kid, where now this kid is singing like this. Really, maybe they were just like, hey, boy, I'm just a wandering child, and I don't know what I'm saying because I like the way I sound. Instead of, hey, boy, and there's a huge difference. So the
Yeah.
character of the voice gets totally stripped away because the instinct of the teacher is to teach and provide protection. But what they're doing is blocking their student from actually finding out who they truly are.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's like a way to give them maybe those, like, the safety thing is like a tool in the toolbox, but not like a this is the end, like this is how you need to sing all it? Like, do you feel like there's a middle ground, or do you think it's just more important to just say, like, how do you sing and just leave it there?
Well, I feel like to me, I'm sure, I mean, you have incredible teachers and they're already doing this. But I'll say it anyways. But I'm sure that, if I met somebody for the very first time, I'm not going to assume who they are. I'm going to have to talk with them. Like if somebody comes to my studio and I've never met them before, we don't go into writing. They come here and I listen to their voice as they talk. We talk for like an hour. I dive a little deep. I figure out who they are, what kind of music they like, some of their influences, what their upbringing was. But as they're talking, I'm getting a very good sense of what kind of voice they have. And then as they're talking, like I could just be like in my brain, I could be hearing, yeah. And I was just like, it was hard for me because my brother always was picking on me, and it was, difficult bringing up in this family because, my family was on welfare. And so all of a sudden I'm just hearing, oh, night. All of a sudden the melody starts coming in their voice. I can see you, like all of a sudden it's like, I hear, and I say, stop, it's time. And they're like, it's time for what? I'm like, the song is here, and most time people look at me like I'm nuts, like I'm sure everybody is right now. But, you know, get to understand who you're with. I mean, you can't throw somebody in a size 2 shoe when they're a size 7. But that's what people tend to do. It's just like, well, this is here. This is the tools I have. Wear it. It's like, but it's uncomfortable and it hurts. It doesn't feel like me, and I don't like it, so it's like, we need to let people run around barefoot before throwing shoes on them because we need to understand who they are.
Ah, that's a great metaphor. Okay, thank you. I wanted to steer us a little bit. One of the things going on with all of this right now is that teachers are being thrown an unprecedented amount of technology. And kind of when I was like going back, through all of the work that you have done, one of the things I just found really fascinating is sort of your approach to, like, yeah, I just get a new, piece of tech in the mail. I get like a new, board, I get whatever, and I just like play with it until I get it. So I would love for you to share like how you approach new technology, especially, as someone who is like primarily self-taught.
Well, technology, there's so much of it, and it's like, it's so distracting, isn't it? And basically, I mean, I know that all the kids are in Logic and Reason. I'm in Pro Tools. And to me, it's just better quality, and I just know it, but I mean, I see the logic and I understand why the kids gravitate towards that. There's like more plugins, there's more ability to be flexible, and it's easier to manage. But I think that when it comes to teachers, I mean, isn't it about what are you teaching? So I would assume you would want to keep teachers. This is just me. There's the ones that just focus on writing songs and teaching the kids how to be comfortable and powerful in that field. And then you would have teachers that focused on, the Pro Tools and engineering and all that, because both are, as a songwriter, it's very distracting. What happens in the computer for kids nowadays is very distracting, because what they're not focusing on is writing a song. They're focusing on all the tools that is like, they're actually doing everything to distract from writing the song.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, I get kids come in here. I mean, I'll just like maybe say one, play like 3 chords. So like, okay, great. Let's go record that. And I'm like, but there's no song. Well, it's okay. We can just record it. And then I'll just, we'll just loop it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but there's no song. I'm not going to record something when there's no song. Their instant reaction is to not finish a song. Their instant reaction is to just get on Pro Tools and start producing. Producing what? Producing a non-song. So they start basically like a puzzle or Legos and start putting something together, and until it's like, oh, that's fire. And I get it. I mean, I get that. I understand how that can be fun, but I don't feel like I would want my teacher focusing on how to, like, if I'm a songwriter and that's what I want to focus on, I want my lesson, I want my hour to be about writing music. I don't want my hour to be divided between distraction over here with production and all that and writing. Or is it, hey, this week, you guys, we're all going to write a song. Everybody in this class, you got 3 days, whatever, to write a song. And then next week, we're going to produce that song. Like, to me, it would be way more informative if I could feel what it was to write a song and then what happens to that song. To me, it's better for the music industry if our teachers are teaching kids how to write a song, how to support them in their vision, in their emotion, to actually from beginning to end write a song and not rely on the tools and the programs in the computer, because they're not really getting the full experience, and then, hey, okay, now hard part is done, guys. Kids need to understand that this is work. It's not just, hey, I'm going to be a YouTuber and slam up and yeah, I'm going to be like Justin Bieber or whatever and whatever. Like, that's what the kids think right now. They think they can slap their on anything and okay, I'm going to bank on being a YouTube sensation. Why don't we support them by give them the tools to be a legacy artist? Because it's learning how to write a song and be uncomfortable, understand that work ethic of committing to writing a song, a boring song just simply on the guitar or piano. That to me is what we need. And then we show them how to produce this beautiful song that they wrote.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I just wanted to pull out of that to emphasize, because I think, first of all, hearing that from you as someone who does the whole spectrum, I think is really, really great to hear, because, I think for our music teachers, many of them are like, oh, I wish that there was another teacher at my school who was like the one who had the studio, but they have to be like a one-man band, like they have to do everything. So, I think that like hearing that from you again is like permission to just say like, it doesn't always have to be this shiny polished product, or it almost like really can't be until you address like what it's actually about.
It's a very weird logic to me, the whole songwriting process with a lot of these people. You have these like, writers like not even writers, just producers like Dr. Luke or, whatever, that they just like, oh, 133 is the BPM, that's the hit. And we're going to do it. And the voice needs to be in a C. And we're going to talk about a little lady marching down the street. And because that was a sensationally big hit for me, and I've been repeating the same format over and over and over and over and over. And it's successful for me because people are buying it.
Right.
Like, to me, that's great. But what's in danger is the actual music business with that logic. The legacy artists are in danger, because how many legacy artists did we have in the 60s and 70s and 80s? How many did we have in the 90s? How many do you think we're going to have in 2020 or 2010 or in 2000? Not many. There's not going to be many legacy. There's not going to be many Aretha Franklins. It's very limited. We're an endangered species. So to me, the education is the most important part right now, because it is you that is going to be protecting the species right now, and giving a platform for kids to understand what it means to be an artist. And the truth is, probably some of your kids will come out and pursue, vigilantly, diligently, to be, and passionately to be an artist, and the other is going to off and just, go do something else, because this business is hard. You guys know that, just the way it is.
Yeah.
So what are we teaching? Are we teaching kids how to use tools, or are we teaching them about life tools, about the music business? I think that's the part that people keep forgetting. There's one part that keeps being forgotten in this. Are we teaching the kids to survive this music business and how to go out there? And you got to give them the biggest tools possible. And that is to have a voice, to go out there and have confidence, and to know what they're doing. Because sitting on Pro Tools and designing patterns and beats and all that stuff, I don't know what that is going to give to these kids, but teaching them the bigger picture, that will go a long way.
I think the good news about the way, like, you're framing this too, is that those life skills, if they don't aren't even interested in the music industry, those are the same things you need to do to be successful in any field. You need to know your own voice and how to use it, and work really hard. So like, just allowing them to see that process in music can also help apply it, to anything, that they want to do in life. Especially, I think of so many of our teachers, they're teaching 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds. I mean, 95% of those kids, they're never going to want to be in the music business, but we want them to be able to spend time getting in tune with their own voice, so that they can be, in a business and actually make the world a better place, or to go in the music industry and use their voice and make the world a better place, So one of the things that I just really I wanted to make sure that we talked about is your experience with collaboration. You have worked with young, super green artists. You have worked with, like legends like Dolly Parton, and then with your partner Carrie, that you run We Are Here with. Like, you have all these different collaborations in your life with different kinds of people, and I would love to know if you have any sort of guiding principles when you're either like seeking out the kind of people you want to collaborate with, or like, how you make all of those diverse opportunities work.
Well, it's, I think that the teachers will all understand collaboration the best, because you're collaborating with these kids, these young minds, and getting together with them, and the way you express your words, your demeanor in the classroom, or how you can touch somebody. It's all the same. It's like we're all collaborating in life. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we have to. I guess there's some who don't, but I think for me, I'm a sensitive person, so I need to know that I'm going to get something and learn something. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm bigger than anybody else. I always walk into every room humble and ready to learn, even from the 13-year-old that I worked with. I think that's the best way to be a teacher, is to be able to acknowledge that you might not know the information, and that by saying that, I'm going to learn. Okay, I don't have it right now, but I'm going to ask, and I'm going to come back with that answer. I think it's the most powerful thing any person can do in these positions. Like, if I'm working with somebody and they want, I don't know, me to side chain the kick and blah blah blah, I'll go, I mean, I know how to do it, but it's just like, I'll go, well, I don't really know how to do that. Let me look it up, and then I'll quickly figure it out. So I think collaboration is exactly what the word is. It's like, let's do this together. So you can't do something together if you think you're better than the person that you're with, or that you know more. So you have to come down. You got to come down. And so I think that's really important. So with all my situations, I've done some really great things, like my company, We Are Here, we had to close down during this pandemic because we were a self-funded company, and we couldn't survive. There's just no way. We lost 3 major tours. But the funny part about that is I also realized that my partner and I were completely incompatible. Was strange. Like, when you're on fire and you're moving and you're moving and moving, you don't notice the cracks in the walls. You're just going. You don't notice all these cracks, And then all of a sudden, the adrenaline when you buy a new house or you move, you're just like, oh, what a great house. I love it. Amazing, amazing. And then you get all moved in and you start, and then you slow down because now you're like walking down the hall. What is that? I didn't notice that before. And then you start noticing all the flaws, right? That's kind of a partnership too. It's like you just move, move, move. And so that's kind of what happened with my company. I noticed the flaws, and had to shut the company down. But that's also another wonderful way to be, is noticing and acknowledging when something is weak, a foundation is weak, and moving on. Live, learn, move on.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of flaw noticing for all of us during this quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, we're resetting right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time to, notice some things that aren't working and, maybe burn them down. So, yeah, definitely. So talk a little bit about, besides kind of these, personal and interpersonal revelations, what is keeping you like persevering and like what's keeping your creativity flowing right now?
I'm trying to slow down, like when this happened, it's so, we all are living our own version of this movie. And I realized that for me is I just need to reset and, nature shut this planet down. I'm sorry, I cuss a lot. It feels good to say. I'd be a terrible teacher. That's what I teach my kids. It's like walking out. My son said it the other day, and I was like, eh. Anyways, but I think that slowing down, like
Yeah.
right now in these times, I've been slowing down and just really dialing in my craft. And I've been writing very specific, and I've been talking with a little more space in between words and a little more thought. And I've been able to teach my son better. He comes to the studio with me all the time, and I'm teaching him. He's 5. And I'm doing some isolation recording. Like again, in what I'm looking at is an ISO booth, and it's got its own separate door that you can come in. So I'm doing really cool stuff. I'm finishing some projects, but mainly I just feel really clear. And I don't know how or why. Maybe it's because I've slowed down a little bit and been able to take in what's happening and realizing this is more than just a pandemic. This is more than a virus. There's a bigger picture here, and I want to be on the right side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's heavy. I'm just gonna let it sit for a second. I think that that's so relatable. There's so much going on with us having that space. I really relate to what you're saying about like I'm in that same mode where you stay busy all the time. In the music industry, how do you not? Everyone's always after your time and your energy. And then there's all the things that you want to do.
Right.
Having that slow down, all of a sudden you have all this space. So yeah, I mean, so tell me a little bit about like your son's making music. He's 5 years old. Does that change the way that you're seeing music at all? Like just doing that with him?
Well, I'm just amazed by him all the time because every parent is going to say their child is, brilliant. But I literally feel I have a walking phoenix meets David Bowie on my hands. This kid dresses up. I mean, we have a full production going on. Like I'm doing makeup, hair, making outfits for him during all this. And, on top of it, I manage artists and I'm a very busy person and by design, and I love that. But I managed to make an outfit, put makeup on my son, get his hair together. And he's 5 years old and he's dressing up like Charlize Theron in, The Huntsman or the evil queen. He loves villains. And so then he'll have this other side where he'll come here and he'll always grab the microphone and just start singing. And he just makes up stuff. And I'm just like going, inside my heart wants to cry because for two reasons. One, I mean, I could cry about it right now. One is because I feel so lucky that I have a son that's thinking from both sides of his brain, that is just left and right because he's very heady on top of it. He's super smart. And the other side I could cry about because I don't know what he's getting involved in. What is this business going to look like when he's 13, 14, and he comes to me and says, Mom, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Do what? I want to be an artist. Every move, every action, every thought that I have right now is doing everything to make sure there is a business that you can make money from, that you can be artistic, that you can survive in. And it's not going to be brutal and it's not going to be slimy, and all that, which it always will be, but I'm doing things, talking to you guys. This is not because I'm just an angel and I'm a great person. This is because I have a plan and I see, like I said, a very, very different music business being built right now. And I'm scared. I'm scared for the writers not being able to survive on their songs that they put out there. They're not right now. I'm scared about the kind of music that's going to be out there. Is it going to be holograms? Am I going to have artists that I sign for their likeness and they never have to tour again? And I'm just going to make holograms out of them. And that's what the world will see. I mean, what are we getting involved with? What is the future? And it's only by doing things and acting can we help change a very dismal looking future. So what he does for me gives me the fuel and the drive and the motivation to continue to have these conversations and to make sure that I'm making music that will survive, and that I'm teaching these skills to people, that I'm offering these skills, that I'm here to support your vision. And there's nothing impossible, that we can have it all. And it doesn't have to just be for one single, and you don't have to yourself out, and you don't have to do that, and you don't have to do these bad feeling things in order to be in this business.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any other
Very intense.
It is intense, and the world is intense, and you can't.
No, I'm saying I'm intense. I know. Sorry, I'm in this intense mode right now. I think it's because I have my hands down on my counter, and I'm like I feel like I'm like standing at a podium, and I'm like, listen.
Yeah.
Take my hands off the podium.
Here we go. All right, stretching it up. We just have a few minutes left, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone listening. I know we've had a ton of comments. Just
what kind of comments? I don't see the comments. Why am I blind to these comments you're talking about?
I'm getting some updates here from staff. Right. I see one teacher says, our job is to light the spark. And and you are saying that there's so much more for preserving the music, but the teachers really get to light the spark.
Right. Yes, exactly. The teachers get to do that. I mean, can you think about teachers, like the teachers that are doing like math and all that? I mean, listen, I get it. Teaching is a very, very hard job, and it's underrated and it's overlooked. And these incredible people that want to be of service are going into those classrooms every single day. And some kids don't want to be taught. Some kids are disruptive. You're not getting paid properly. But the truth is, you're at the forefront to change these lives. And thank you for that word. Yes. You are igniting a spark in these kids, because so many other teachers can probably just sit there and go, phone it in. Okay, here it is. It's the same day, same routine. It's like this pandemic. It's like the same day. It's like over and over. And I have to ignite my spark, for my son, like every single day. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I go through this. Sometimes I wake up and I'm just like going, same thing all day long. It's like, oh God, here it goes. Is it Monday? Is it Friday? I don't know. It gets depressing.
Yeah.
And I'm certain teachers must get depressed, because imagine you going in there with like this fully like, all right, guys, today we're going to learn how to play Stairway to Heaven, Stairway the what take your old music and shove it up your ass. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making it up. I'm watching too much teacher TV. But I can imagine how it could just kill your spark. So yeah, I'm glad to hear, the energy. Thank you.
I think for most of the teachers, it's not the kids who are killing the spark. To be totally honest, I think that's like why they stay in it. I'm wondering if you'd be willing to like either play like a little ad lib or like a tune as we close out.
Have I not been ad libbing? Okay, what kind of ad lib would you like? Do you want to ad lib, or do you want me to play a little bit of What's Up, or do you want?
I think that would be nice if you would be willing to play a little What's Up. I'll put myself on mute so we can all sing along.
All right, here we go. 25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed, just to get it all out what's in my head. And I feel a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I said, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, yeah. What's going on? And I said, hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on? Give you the short version.
Thank you again so much. This has been just a huge personal treat, but I know that it's been really inspiring for everyone on the call. So
you're very welcome.
Best wishes to you, and thank you again.
Absolutely. Bye. Hey, call me anytime. I'm there. If you want me to come to one of the classrooms and teach when we can go back to school, call me. I'm there. It'd be fun.
All right. Can't wait. Thanks, everybody watching.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.